we represent Moscrop is what we think. But usually there are other entrepreneurship students that would say differently. Anyways, within this group, there is me, Nathan Mack, Andy Sao, Homan Tang, Brian Chia, and Albert Chui. And unfortunately, Albert couldn't make it today because he has some family issues. And though we sincerely thank him for his dedication to the group, and yeah. So, ingenuity has always been, wait, shit. Forget I said it. Ingenuity has always been a valuable asset to prospective entrepreneurs. And as such, we take great pride and confidence to come to you today to introduce what we think is a sparkling genius. And here's a little snippet of what customers have to say about us.
What did you think about PingPoPo Noodles? What do you think about PingPoPo Noodles?
And so before we begin, we thought we would share with you the history of PingPoPo. To begin with, some of you might be wondering why the name PingPoPo. Sometimes I wonder myself. But to tell you the truth, PingPoPo does not have a specific meaning to the name. It's a name that we came up with because we thought we should have a product that matches our name. So our product are Asian noodles. So we thought if we had an Oriental style name, that would match the noodles and that would sell. And that's how PingPoPo came to be. Now you might ask, why Asian noodles? Because there are tons of viable ventures that we could have done that are far less complicated. But that answer came to us on a Victoria trip sponsored by our entrepreneurship class, where all 5 of us were taking part in this trip. And we came across a restaurant known as the Noodle Box, which, as the name implies, it's selling noodles in a box. And so what we saw in this restaurant was not the fact that the noodles tasted great, or the fact that the packaging design was amazing, or whether the customers were amazingly happy about their experience. Rather, we saw it as whether it was interesting and whether we could do it in Moscrop. And after a lot of thought, we thought to have a sort of small package like a takeout box, that would be really nice, because if we were to operate inside the school and sell to students, students could bring it all around the school and they'd be happy. And so that is how our venture plan came to be. Now, our project will be broken down into 4 main sections. The first section is the project overview, which is the general project in a nutshell. The second part is the market, which will be describing how we operate in the environment, because there are quite a few restrictions that we will be talking about later, and how the actual sales will go. The third part, we will be talking about the resources, which will be an in-depth discussion of how we manage the resources in terms of human resources and material resources. The last part that we'll be discussing is the financing, which goes over all of our financial decisions, our budgeting, our costing, and generally everything that has to do with profit. If you guys haven't heard me say it earlier, my name is Nathan Mack, and I am the project coordinator of PingPoPo. And this project overview is something that I am really delighted to come here and tell you guys, because it's something that I treasure and I put my time into. And so the project overview can be split into the products, meaning the actual noodles that we presented, and the operations, so all of the efforts that went to going into making the noodles and all the planning that was involved. So our product comes in 3 flavors: teriyaki chicken, beef teriyaki, and vegetarian. For a box around this big, it's $3.50 per serving. And from personal experience, I've actually eaten the noodles as a test run before giving to customers. And to tell you the truth, I think it's really worth it because it's actually really filling and it tastes good and it's healthy to some extent. And so we also had a pre-order system set up in which if customers decided to come to us ahead of time knowing that they would want to buy the noodles, they would in advance give us $3 and we would write down their name for a pre-order. And they would get top priority when it came time for the sales. All sales took place during lunch hours and school events because we found that that time period had the greatest percentage of people who went around hungry and looking for something to eat. The operations had 2 extremely vital parts, both off the scene and on the scene. The prep work behind the scenes was essential because that included things like buying the ingredients a day ahead of time in order to keep the food fresh, so the customers would be happy, because our whole venture has been based on quality over quantity. And so we like to keep our things fresh. And that also meant to negotiate with our chef to marinate the meat and prepare all this stuff beforehand. And that also included going to planning and talking to administrations, talking to sponsor teachers, talking to event coordinators. And it was sometimes tedious, but we got through it. And so the second part was the actual cooking on the day of the sales. All of these sales took place on certain events because of certain restrictions, and we needed to get permission to use the cooking room, which is on the 3rd floor. And so we persistently went to the administration to get approval, and we finally got it. And during lunch hours, we would have our cook inside the cooking room making the noodles while we were downstairs inside the multi-purpose room with a stand where we would be actually distributing the noodles. And sales, as far as sales goes, we took our sales directly to our customers rather than having them come to us, because we found that is often the most effective. And on occasion, because we had a large amount of pre-orders, sometimes we couldn't get enough made before the time lunch started. So for those staff and students that had to wait a while, we also had a delivery service free of charge to wherever they may be inside the school. So I've already talked about what we do, how we do it, and what sort of things is in the food. But the real essential thing that we haven't talked about is why we do it and why you should choose us over the competition.